It kinda feels almost surreal that a game mode we've been talking about in Battlefront 2 since last summer is now out. A mode that has seen quite the number of delays after delays is now finally in our hands, and the question is, was it worth the wait? In this review of the Capital Supremacy update to Star Wars Battlefront 2, we'll be looking at the mode in 4 different ways. First, my initial thoughts and impressions, along with what I overall liked in the mode. Then of course what I didn't like and what I'd ideally could see added or improved upon. Generally, it has to be said that the mode is a lot of fun and a welcome breath of fresh air to an otherwise stagnant game, in the sense that we've never had such a major game update like this released before, that not only included so much awesome content, but at the same time introduced a completely new way to play and experience the Battlefront. Before this, the only way to play any games of a large-scale nature, you had no choice but to play Galactic Assault, a mode that, while fun back in 2017, has since in my opinion grown pretty stale. And that says a lot, considering it is the flagship mode of the game. Now for me, the first time deploying into a game of Capital Supremacy, which is the official name of the mode that for so many months we've come to know as simply Titan mode, was a feeling of pure joy and nostalgia. Getting to see not only the actual command posts that we all knew and loved from Pandemic's original Battlefront games, but also the first time ever having the ability to play alongside actual AI foot soldiers in an online multiplayer setting in Battlefront 2 was something else. And let me tell you, it felt like a long time coming. This was always the Battlefront experience that a lot of us wanted to have since the game was first released. And it's a shame that it took DICE this long to finally realize that. Unlike the traditional conquest modes from the past, here players not only capture command posts, but once their team has the required number of reinforcement points, then they board some transports and make their way into the opposing side's capital ship in the sky, with the sole aim of destroying it from the inside. And while this may not be a revolutionary change in the conquest mode formula, it is the first time we've seen anything like this in a Battlefront title since the days of Elite Squadron back on the PSP in 2009. The second phase, where players play inside the capital ships, feels a lot like a mini version of Galactic Assault. A high emphasis in close quarters combat with your usual plant-to-detonator objective. It's sometimes a nice little change of pace after a long battle on the ground, capturing and defending command posts the whole entire time. The Infiltrator class is a lot of fun to play with, especially the ARC Trooper, and it really goes to show the untapped potential DICE still has with the reinforcements in general, as not only does it allow average players who usually don't rack up enough points for heroes to still obtain some pretty good special units, but also allows the dynamics of the battle to quickly change. And that's been very clear with the addition of the ARC Trooper and the BX Commando droid. I think if DICE were to focus a bit more on adding new reinforcements to the game over say heroes, then that necessarily wouldn't be a bad thing at all. The 12 AI soldiers that each team have are an awesome addition and make the battle feel more intense and alive. I was without a doubt impressed by them, that they were fairly competent and shown that DICE can make good AI if they really want to. They kept going to command posts that weren't occupied and even defended positions where human players didn't. Now, if DICE were to give me a basic offline conquest mode of just this AI, then I wouldn't complain at all. It's very well done, or at least as good as AI in a multiplayer mode could be. But while there is a lot of good to be said about Capital Supremacy, the mode isn't perfect. The map, for example, I feel should be a little larger, as at times it can feel oddly cramped and doesn't give me that sense of a true large-scale experience that I otherwise would see in a, say, Battlefield game, which is DICE's flagship game series and really highlights what DICE are capable of when it comes to delivering large-scale experiences. Now, the map design itself is great, and it's rather obvious that all DICE did was take the existing Galactic Assault Geonosis map and completely edit a section of it from the ground up, which is the left area of the map we otherwise normally wouldn't be able to venture to in Galactic Assault. So if anything, you can say it feels like a new map in an already existing map. But knowing just how much more expansive the Galactic Assault Geonosis map really is, and believe me, it is, and this coming from a guy who explored the entirety of that map, to where this kind of feels like a waste to only limit us to such a small portion of the map. And because the map size is what it is, then we have all these command posts fairly close to one another, where we then have situations that sometimes once you leave a captured command post, then not even a minute afterwards you're already losing that said command post, all because of the close proximity between all the command posts due to the current size of the map, which is unfortunately smaller than your standard Galactic Assault map. I do think that if they stuck to the basic conquest formula like they do in their Battlefield games, and allowed players to spawn directly onto the command posts, then having a larger map wouldn't be an issue. I mean, large-scale maps aren't an issue in Conquest over there, so why would they be one in Battlefront? A game made by the same company. Instead here, we're limited to only using the squad spawn system, which I don't mind, but I'd rather have the ability to choose, to have an option in either spawning directly onto a command post or to one of my squad mates. Again, just like Battlefield, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And while I do appreciate the boarding of the capital ship phase, I don't necessarily like the fact that it's forced upon all the players. In the Battlefield version of this mode, players have a choice if they want to board a transport and attempt to take down a capital ship, aka a Titan. And those that don't want to, then they stay put on the ground and continue holding down the command posts. So at the same time, you have both players aboard the capital ship and also players on the ground level. Because the thing is, Capital Supremacy was constantly touted as a large-scale non-linear game mode, yet forcing all the players to take part in the capital ship takedown phase isn't what I'd call non-linear. And even then, I don't like the fact that when we do get on the enemy capital ship, it's all done through a cutscene rather than real time. And then we're forced to reselect our class, which that transition phase kills the momentum for me at times, and really sucks that if you had a hero on the ground level, then the game has you lose that hero once you're transported to the capital ship, and vice versa when coming off the capital ship and back onto the ground. The nature of this mode also makes you realize just how much voice communication is needed in this game, or even basic commands for your squad, such as go here, attack, or defend this, and so on, like the original Battlefront games. I mean, if DICE is so against adding voice communications to the game, then I don't see any reason why they couldn't at the very least add squad leader orders. Again, they already have this feature in Battlefield, so why not add it here too? I also think the Infiltrator class needs some work as well. The ARC Trooper is an absolute beast if he can get behind a group of droids and just start blasting away, but at the same time he's far too overpowered. He's not only very strong in close quarters, but his power blast also makes up for his lack of range, and I found them extremely annoying to play against as the droids. And I also have to say that I'm not the biggest fan of his helmet decal, which looks like one big target symbol or the IGN logo. I'm probably in the minority here, but I think it looks dumb and isn't canon. I mean, was it so hard to give us the standard ARC Trooper helmet design like this? And not to mention that I wouldn't have minded some backpacks on my ARC Troopers as well. All small nitpicks, I know, but I felt that I needed to point these out as I do pay attention to the small details, what can I say? The BX Commando droid on the other hand feels a lot more weaker, especially its blaster, which doesn't feel like a long-range blaster at all. With that said, I also think the Commando droids should be able to jump a little bit higher than the standard B1 battle droid, especially considering how high they jumped and were so much more agile in the Clone Wars series. Overall, I think the mode is good, with some problems holding it back from being truly amazing. The first phase is great and feels a lot like the OG Battlefront, even if it lacks vehicles and starfighters, and as a result it makes it feel more of a close-quarter experience. The second phase is also not too bad, despite feeling a bit of a mini galactic assault, but I really don't think it should be forced upon all the players. If I'm more of a defensive player, I'd rather stay on the ground and let the attack-minded players go for the capital takedown instead. What would make the mode absolute perfection in my opinion is to not only expand the map size, but give us 40v40 battles, the ability to spawn on both teammates and command posts, allow spawnable vehicles we can mount and dismount like in the original games, and again, don't force everyone in the capital ship takedown. But having said all of that, I get it. Battlefront 2 has limitations due to the flawed ideas it was initially programmed to follow, that while seemed okay for DICE back in 2017 are now biting them back in the butt in 2019. Was the mode worth the wait? Debatable. Could it be better? Of course. Is it still a fun experience despite its flaws and limitations? Definitely. And if more map support in the future, I could see myself playing nothing but this mode and finally put Galactic Assault to rest. But let me know what you all think about Capital Supremacy. Do you agree with my gripes about it? And how would you yourself like to see the mode improve over time? I know some people like the idea of having a timer to help prevent the really long games from happening, and I mean, that's not really something for me, but I can definitely see the appeal in that for other people. One thing is for sure though, the Capital Supremacy we do have now won't be the same in a few months' time, and we can only hope DICE do make the right moves here to really get the most out of this game-changing mode. at least for the future of Battlefront 2. This is N7 from Silo, signing off.